When things started, welcome back. When things started unfolding, it was like traveling on a national road with 4 or 5 lanes. It was like traveling on a highway with 4 or 5 lanes. There was a lane of this guy. There was a lane of ancestors, spirit guides. There was a lane of curiosity. Is there something more to life than what we know? It was about ego. It was about my ego. It was about like finding out, knowing more, and then there was another lane of, is this real? There was a fear. There was another lane of proving society wrong, that I could do this. There was another lane of trying to prove myself. This was closely linked to the relationship part of things. It was about, I'm worth something. It was about my worth. It was a lot of lanes. That's why I'm saying it's like a national highway with different kinds of lanes. They're all going the same direction, but there's different departments. There's a journey of self-discovery in between everything else, knowing myself more, but without really knowing what was in this journey, what to expect. I was alone. It was about me. It was about these questions that I had. All these questions in my head. But I carried on. I continued. If I'm being honest, specifically speaking about this guy, I could have moved away from this guy. I could have moved on. The one thing that took me back, that kept me in this dynamic, was the dreams. I dreamt before, but wasn't as intense. But one thing that kept me in this system, in this loop, in this dynamic, was dreams. The minute he broke up with me, the minute he broke my heart, I decided he's not worth my time. He's not worth the effort. So I moved on, moved away, kept my distance, didn't even beg, because I'm not that person. I would never ever beg for someone to see my value. That I will never do. But in the same light, in the same breath, then there's this curiosity to want to know more. So I had to lower my ego. I had to surrender. I had to kind of self-sacrifice in a way that normally, if somebody doesn't meet me where I need to be met, I would leave before, I have to explain myself, before I have to now feel like a small girl. Small girl energy is not something I'm good at. So I would never beg a man for their attention. I would never ever beg to be seen. I would never prove my worth, my value, negotiate my value with a person. That's not who I am, and that's not a person that I've always been. I've never. But with this person, I had to. He would reject me, and I would have to come in and swallow my pride because I want to know more. Oh, I can't believe this is me. I can't believe I'm saying this, because that's exactly what happened. I had to lower my pride. I had to swallow my pride to follow. I actually begged in a subtle kind of way. I didn't say it out loud, but I felt like I was begging. I felt like I was negotiating my value with this person. I mean, they broke up with me. Why am I the one following them around? Because that's exactly what happened. So this person, linked to my spiritual journey, linked to my spiritual dreams, my prophetic dreams, this person somehow When I was with him, I felt all sorts of things that I've not felt before. I saw things that I never saw before. My intuition when I was with this person was sharper than it has ever been in my entire life. I heard voices and I listened to those voices. I knew stuff about him, he never told me. I predicted stuff about him. I predicted stuff about me, about my life when he was around, when I was close to him. My intuition was another level. And he was always shocked, and he would also always ask me, how come you know so much about me? I was like, I don't know. It became more shocking and more shocking and more shocking each and every day. When I was with him, I felt softer. I felt kinder. I felt calmer. I felt less tired. I was like, the energy that this person had, the energy we had together was explosive. It was, even though I didn't understand these things, the language, the energy, the this, the that, I didn't understand. I was just in the middle of the thing. But today I'm outside, so I can tell you exactly what was happening at that time. After being with him, life looks different. It's like a light goes on. Ooh. After being with this guy, whether sexually or just having a conversation or whatever, it would, the next day, the sky is bluer than it's ever been. The sun is closer than it has ever been, closer to the earth. Like, God is just here. Something is going, the energy is shifting. And how I saw this would happen is that when I would go to shops, like men would be circulating around me. Men would find me attractive. People would find, even women that would stare. Like, there was a whole change in how people received me. People smiled more. Or, I don't know if it was in my head or it was something that was happening internally or something that was happening on the outside. But life looked different. And that is why I stayed in this dynamic longer than I normally would, because there was just so many factors. There was just so many things that were going regarding this person. In the same breath, I'm dreaming. In the same breath, I feel more. In the same breath, I hear more. In the same breath, I'm questioning more. This is when my awakening really started. This is a process that started September 2023. And by mid-year 2024, I started dreaming, started seeing my ancestor spirit guides. I started getting instructions. I started writing my dreams down. Funny story is that while I'm going through what I'm going through, it's internal. Some of it I do discuss it with him. Some of it he doesn't understand, but he had already awakened. He was aware of mystical things, but he wasn't as clued up. I was hoping for answers from him, but he most of the time didn't know. Fine, there was parts of himself that he was hiding from me. Because I'm not a person that hides myself, and I didn't. With him, it was even worse because I was just more open than I've ever been open with anyone else. So I spoke my mind because I've always been speaking my mind. But in this part of myself with him, I was even more honest. I was more open. Very weird. And how he received it was even crazier because he didn't question me. He wanted to listen to me more. Oh my gosh. He was just there. He wanted to know more. If I keep quiet, like we'd be driving one day and I would be quiet, maybe deep in my thoughts and being nervous and anxious around him. because it was an on and off kind of dynamic. So at some point, I started feeling unsafe. I started feeling nervous around him. I started feeling anxious around him because I didn't feel safe anymore like I did when we started. So there was a little bit of tiptoeing around him maybe some other times because I knew what I would say would trigger him. I knew that he would. I was afraid of talking because I even thought that my words were the reason why he was anxiously attaching to me, why he was avoidant, why he was sometimes calm, cool, happy, and sometimes he would withdraw from me. So it wasn't about him anymore, it was about me. It was about me. What I did is what makes him react a specific way. It was a roller coaster, I'm not gonna lie. And I thought he could support me. I thought he had the answers. I thought he would help me. I thought, but he didn't. He didn't know how to. He didn't know how to support me. And throughout this thing, I learned a lot about him. Started dreaming about his ancestors, people I've never met before. I'd never met his family before. We didn't even date that long. But I started meeting his ancestors. This is what kept me in this relationship, I want to call it, dynamic, I want to call it. I don't know what to call it, but I stayed longer than I would have generally because there was so many factors. I was spiritual. I was finding out about my spiritual journey, about my ancestors, and then there was his. And then there was his family history in dreams, revelations, in real time visions. I saw things that I've never seen before. There was different lanes. There was me, there was him, there was his guides, there was my guides. There was finding out, investigation. I was investigating. I was trying to find out. On a normal day, on a normal time, I would have just ignored this person, blocked him, deleted his number, and never looked back because I'm not a person. I'm a Cancer. If I'm walking away from someone, I walk away with my energy, my thoughts, my emotions. I literally pack my bags and I never look back. But this one, I couldn't because I tried. I deleted, I unfollowed on social media, but there was dreams. There was thoughts, there was emotions, there was guides, there was ancestors, there was different lanes into it. Some of these things I've really never shared with anyone. But now that I've grown, I've graduated, I've seen what this journey does, I've understood that a lot of people are going through something like that and they don't even know what it is. It's best that I share it so people understand that it wasn't attachment. It wasn't obsession. Maybe it was at some point because I thought it was. But it was a lot of factors why. It was love, it was care, it was spiritual, it was psychological, it was traditional, it was cultural, it was different factors. That's how I literally went into my spiritual journey. That's how I opened and burst that door. It was through him, it was with him, it was around him. I found out a lot about myself through him. Even though he didn't understand what the hell was going on. Most days I felt alone more than even when he was present. I felt alone more because, I mean, dude, how can you not understand what I'm going through? You know, I needed more from him. I needed more support. I needed more understanding. But I understood over time that he also had limitations. Let's do another part.